Hey, so I've started using Roland as my defense debuffer for the Raid Red boss, and I just want to show you the statistics around why that works. So we can check the stats of the Raid boss by doing a long press, and here we see that it has a base accuracy of 108 and a resistance of 181. And we can use this information to basically compare against the build of our heroes to see what's going to be the probability of either landing ailments on the boss itself or avoiding the ailments on our own team. So I'm using a high resistance strategy, and that means that I want the resistance of my team to be as high as possible compared to the raid boss, so that I'm avoiding the heal block and the burn as much as possible, so that I can focus on basically doing damage rather than healing and recovering the health from the burn. So in my setup, I have Aurora as my leader. So let's find Aurora. She is giving a increase of 40 res to all allies in all game modes. And I am using also the yellow dragon, so I'm doing a long press, and that gives me 100% chance to inflict decreased accuracy on all enemies for 3 turns. So what does decrease accuracy mean? Well, I can go into heroes, to the information, and I am going to find decrease accuracy. Here it is, decrease accuracy decreased by 40%. Now, what does this mean? So the formula for calculating the probability of landing an ailment is 100 minus brackets res minus accuracy. So what that means is, if we are trying to avoid ailments on our team, we want our resistance to be as high as possible. The maximum we should really get it is 100 above the opponent's accuracy, because then our bit in the brackets res minus ac is going to be 100, and the probability of landing is going to be 100 minus 100, so it's going to be 0. Now, for the other way around, if we want to land ailments on the enemy, we want our accuracy to be as high as possible, ideally 15 less than the enemy's resistance. So what that means is the bit in the brackets res minus ac is going to be 15, which is the lowest it can go, and the probability is going to be 100 minus 15, which is 85, which means that the highest probability we can ever have for landing an ailment on the enemy is 85%. So now that we have that, let's look at our situation and what Roland has, or my Roland has, and see what does that mean for the success rate of either avoiding or landing ailments. So looking at Roland, I'm seeing that he has a base resistance of 115 and an accuracy of 151. Now, we're not finished, because his passive ability says that he's going to get 5% resistance for every 500 def. Now, if I would max his passive, I would actually get 7% resistance for every 500 def, but let's assume I don't for now. And let's see how much def he's got. So he's got 2,654. 2,654 divided by 500 is 5 point something. So I'm going to get 5 times 5%. So that's going to be 25% that I can add to 115. That makes 140. So if I would actually look at my equation, what is my resistance? My resistance is 140 That's Roland, his base plus his passive, plus the boost that he gets from Aurora. That's 40. So my resistance is going to be 180. Now, what is the accuracy of the opponent? Well, the raid boss has a base stat of 108. Using the yellow dragon, I'm decreasing it by 40, so it's going to be 68. So my formula is going to look like 100 minus brackets res minus ac. So what is res minus ac? Well, 180 minus 68 is 112. So that's actually more than 100. So the probability of landing the ailment on Roland is going to be 0 because it can't go less than 0. So that's pretty sweet for him. And now on the accuracy side, so he's got an accuracy of 151. That doesn't get boosted by anything. He doesn't have a color advantage over the red boss. They're the same color, so there's neither an advantage nor a disadvantage. So let's look at the formula. So the formula is going to be 100 minus res minus ac. The resistance of the raid boss is 181. We're not doing anything to change it, so it's going to stay 181. But Roland's accuracy is 151, which means that res minus ac is 181 minus 151, which is 30. So the formula will say 100 minus 30, which is 70. So the probability to land an ailment on the raid boss is going to be 70, which is quite high, I think, because the maximum that we can ever have is 85. And now that I have scared everyone away with my calculations, let's see how it looks like in practice. So here you see again, Aurora is the leader, and I've got the yellow dragon here helping me. And let's go. And if you see that there are ailments being landed on Roland, that means that my calculations are wrong. So just keep an eye on him. Let's see. And then the nice thing about Roland as well is that because he is red, he's actually going to absorb the tiles that I'm matching away to basically deny the red boss, right? I'm trying to get him fired up so he can land his defense down. This is a bit annoying, so yeah, finally. Okay, so the tiles are not that great at the moment, but luckily I've got the yellow dragon up, so he's putting that decrease accuracy on the raid boss. That's really gonna help out with the special. So actually, without that decreased accuracy, I would actually have a chance of Roland getting some ailments on him. So as you can see, no ailments on Roland so far. No ailments on anyone so far, in fact. That's what I really love about this strategy, which is I don't have to worry about people dying. So I always like to have the attack up before I fire off Cyril. And again, these tiles are not great. I think I may have been a bit too nasty to Roland. Okay, he barely survived. So let's get the that decrease accuracy on the raid boss again. This is not going to be particularly fun because the raid boss is going to have 2 turns in a row. But I think that I have enough health to get through it. Otherwise, I have some revive potions. Okay. I'm gonna fill him up and then see if I can get that defense down so that I can fire off Cyril. What's really nice here, although it's not going to matter in a second, is that Roland can also gain increased defense when he debuffs the enemy. It's good if the raid boss is not about to fire but is going to do that tile attack, because that increased defense reduces the damage from the tile attack itself. But like I said, it's not going to matter here because it's all going to be removed. And I'm going to keep topping up with the decreased accuracy. That's really nice. And yeah, they don't like me today, the tiles. And you see still no ailments on anyone so far. So let's see. I always like to keep the defense down refreshed so that I don't have to run the risk that, you know, it doesn't stick one time when I really need it and I need to farm my specials without it. That really doesn't help with the damage. Okay, so that's a shame. But I need to top up with Aurora anyway. I like to use moves that basically clear the board or have as many combos as possible. It charges up the dragon, and it also means that if I don't like my tiles, I can hopefully get new tiles. So what's going on here? So no red matches immediately, but let's see, I moved this yellow one. I can do this red match and I can get this blue one. And then I'm lucky that it gives me a bunch of combos. So let's get rid of the red because we don't want the raid boss to charge up if possible. Otherwise, no real good options. Okay. So it looks like I'm going to just let the raid boss fire off a couple of times. Okay, so we're near the end, so what's nice is usually just try to get as many tiles of the right color as possible. Here it doesn't help that much, but I also ran out of mana pots. So we're just gonna sit this one out. And do a little bit of tile damage. Yeah, so finally, when the raid boss is now immune to ailments, finally he landed a couple of burns on my team. This is going to be the last one. Everyone's going to die, I think. And I'm quite happy with the damage anyway. So there we go. Well, and if you're still interested, then let's have a deeper look into Roland's gear. So I'm using a mixture of Cursed and Protector. These are the ones that boost accuracy and resistance, and those are the two most important stats for this battle. Yes, defense is important, but since we're trying to increase accuracy and resistance, and those are the main stats that are only achieved by the chest armor, whereas defense can be increased by the gloves, the chest, or the boots as a percentage, and then you also have a little bit of a increase from the shield, I believe. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to increase defense, basically, including dusting, which I've done a little bit, but there are only very few ways to increase accuracy and resistance cheaply, which is using the chest armor and using the gear sets. The expensive ways are to basically buy it in the cabinet, or to, well, get really lucky on the gear and then level it up. So that's very time consuming. So on my first piece of gear, I have 2 rolls on the resistance, so that gives me 14. On my second, I have 2 rolls on the resistance, again, another 14, pretty good. On my third, I have 1 roll each on the accuracy and the res. Notice there I've got 2 rolls on the defense, which is pretty sweet. Also, it's a 6-star gear for the defense, which is really nice. I've got def % gloves. I've got 1 roll on the accuracy. I've got accuracy chest armor, because accuracy is the most important stat for Roland in this situation. If you recall, there's nothing to boost his accuracy, but there are things to boost his resistance, namely his passive ability, Aurora's leader ability, and also the the yellow dragon working to decrease the accuracy of the red raid boss. So what's really nice about this piece of armor is I actually have 2 rolls on the resistance as well. That's really lucky. And on the def boots, I have a little bit of accuracy and resistance, 5% each. So that's what I have. Hope you enjoyed.